All right, the moment has arrived. I am finally going to start Peace Talks. And I don't know how I feel about it. So I have read the short stories that people have told me to read, provided some background. The Zoo Day short story was just one of the best things that I have ever read. I was so happy / sad and weirdly emotional, which is just like par for the course for Dresden now. Like that's just how I'm going to feel, I think, whenever I read anything Dresden related. But I'm coming off of 3 days on call. I'm really tired, but I am excited and nervous to read this. I don't know if this reading vlog is going to be just Peace Talks or if I'm going to string the two of them together. I think it depends on how quickly I read them and how much I have to say about each individual one. Regardless, I'm reading them back to back. So you will either get 2 reading vlogs back to back or you will get one really long reading vlog. I'm not sure. But here goes. I will check in soon. I am 8 chapters in, and I thought that that was a good place to start and give my initial thoughts about this book. So I went in without even reading the back of it because I was like, I'm just gonna go in. I'm just gonna see what happens. And I really like the beginning so far. My favorite part has been the confrontation between Harry and Ebenezer because their relationship has obviously changed a lot over the course of the series. They have had there's been a lot of difficult things that have transpired between them, and just finding out their actual familial relationship has been a big discovery for us as readers, but also a big discovery for Harry as a person. And him becoming a dad has given him an opportunity to both reflect on what he thinks is important in terms of a family unit and also to confront a lot of the hurt that he has been exposed to throughout his life. And I think that it's clear that that brings up a lot of complex and complicated feelings within him. So seeing them actually have those moments together were really important. And I like that even though the series is clearly like amping up to something big, like I'm expecting big and shocking things to happen over the course of these next 2 books, I think it's nice that Butcher still continues to integrate character development into that. And that is what has made Dresden so successful, I think, is that it's not just a fun story. It's not just a really cool world with an ever-building plot and an ever-building story, but the characters are also really easy to fall in love with. And I think that's because he keeps putting in the work to help them grow and show us how their dynamics change over the course of the series. So I really liked that part. And it shows that there's no right or wrong answer. Like Harry knows that he is putting Maggie at risk by being a part of her life, but he also knows what it feels like to be on the other side of that coin and believe that the people who are supposed to be in your life to love you have left you. And even if they have good intentions, that still causes very real hurt in people. So it's really nice to see that there's no like this person is right, this person is wrong. They both really believe strongly in what they're doing, and that makes for interesting dynamics and it makes for a more interesting story. I am happy that so far this novel seems to be at least somewhat Thomas centric, but I am unhappy that it seems like bad things are happening. I wonder, and this is why I'm happy that I read some of those short stories, I wonder if what is going on with Thomas has something to do with that mission / society that he is a part of, if it has something to do with like a greater conflict or a greater war. But I'm worried now. Like the distress that I felt in the last book about Michael, I love Michael Carpenter, but I love Thomas. I cannot have anything bad happen to him. And now I'm starting to get worried. I'm at chapter 22. And I have not checked in because I have not had a lot to check in about. And I'm starting to see what might, because I have heard that this book, or I don't know if it's these 2 books or if it's just Peace Talks, being kind of divisive. And the only thing I can think of is that this feels a lot like setup. And I know I'm only at chapter 22, which is like about halfway through, but it does feel like a lot of setup. It feels like a lot of pieces being moved into place. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. It's just that I haven't had a lot to say about it because I'm just still waiting to see what is going to happen. I do feel the tension about Thomas because I obviously want him to be okay. I want to see how he's going to get out of this. I find like seeing where all of the players in the supernatural world are, I find that very interesting. And I have hopes that this is going to culminate into something really fun. But it just like a whole lot hasn't happened yet. So that's the only thing that I can think of to say. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to finish this one today and then move directly on into the next book, but we shall see what happens. I'm at chapter 30 and things are finally starting to pick up. So I just reached the scene where the goddess comes in and interrupts the peace talks. Mab has been pushed to who knows where. Everybody's kind of flailing. And I think this is what I was looking forward to the whole book. It's just that it's been a lot of setup to get here. So I'm expecting these last like however many pages. I think it's like, let's see, 100 pages. So like a little bit less than 100 pages to be very exciting and then to want to immediately jump into the second book. So I can see how if you were waiting a period of time between these two books, it would be really frustrating to get this one and then presumably be waiting for the bulk of the action to happen in the second one. But I haven't disliked this one. It's been good. It just hasn't had a lot of tension. Like even the rescue of Thomas, I felt like, okay, well, this is obviously going to go off. There was just not a lot of tension built up around any of it. So I have just felt like this is a nice, pleasant time. Whereas the last couple of Dresden books that I have read, I've been like, what is going to happen? I need to know immediately. So it's not that this is not good. It's just that it has been more leisurely paced. But I am presuming that Battleground is just going to be a riot. I have finished Peace Talks. I was right in my last prediction that a lot of the action is happening at the end of the book. So those last 100 pages were really, really good. The chapter, like the fight between Ebenezer and Harry, made up for the rest of the book being completely average. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, again, I have reiterated throughout this vlog, like I liked Peace Talks, but if I had to wait 6 months for Battleground, I think I would be mad because they are literally driving into the fight and the book ends. So I really want to know, I teared up during the fight between Harry and Ebenezer. I hate it when Harry has to fight with his family. I feel like he has had such a rough go of life and especially family life that whenever anything interrupts those relationships, I have such a hard time with it. And I'm obviously really sad about Thomas for 2 reasons. Because I think number one, it was really heartbreaking to see him be put in the prison. So to be entombed beneath Demon Reach. And Lara's reaction was really sad because we got to see some of her emotion come out, which was also very satisfying. But I also think it means we probably won't see Thomas in Battleground, and Battleground's the last book that I have. So it's just, I would have rathered, like I would have liked to see him fight by Harry's side, and instead he's just gonna be unconscious for the book. So that part is making me sad, but at least hopefully it means he'll be safe. Theoretically, he can't die in Battleground if he's entombed beneath Demon Reach, but I am worried. My one wish for Battleground is that we will find out something about Mac. What is he? Who is he? Why is he? I don't know. I want to know something new. And I'm really excited to go start reading it. Okay. This is already the opposite of Peace Talks because I am, 5 chapters in to Battleground, and I am already so on edge. So on edge. It's so tense. Like, I just know that this is building up to be something wild, and I am not in any way prepared for it. Like, even just in chapter 3 alone, so many things happened that I loved. Like Molly with a squad of sharks, Dresden pushing Murphy in a shopping cart across town, and Mac. So I don't know if I'm just being obtuse. Like, do I just not pick up on things? Like, is Mac an angel? Like, is that what he's supposed to be? Is that supposed to be obvious? I am not sure. Please weigh in on what Mac may or may not be and how obvious that is to people who are not me. Also, at the point where I am right now, Ramirez has just tried to get Harry to open up to him. And I don't know what it is, but ever since Ramirez came onto the scene, I have been suspicious of him. He's just like too good. He's too good. He's always around. He's in the thick of it. He's too innocuous, and it makes me immediately suspicious. So I wonder if my paranoia will come to be something more in this book, or if, as always, I will just end up apologizing to poor Carlos by the end of this book. Okay. I'm taking a pause like in the middle of a chapter right now because I'm reading chapter 12, which is just so Dresden. Like, it is the most Dresden chapter of anything. So he's fighting Dracul, which like in itself is super cool. Like, this whole sequence of them being in the graveyard is just amazing. And like, you're in a fight with one of the most powerful supernatural beings that you have ever faced off against. And then you end that fight with a knock-knock joke. Like, it should be silly. Like, it should be lame, but it's not. It's amazing. And I'm so happy to be reading this. I'm stopping through chapter, like in the middle of another chapter 2 again. So I'm at chapter 13. I've only read a little bit more, but I do feel like I need to comment on the Starborn thing. So I am conflicted about this. I have been really impressed reading the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher's ability to take small details that came up earlier in the books and make them mean something later on. So this Starborn thing, I feel like it came out of nowhere at the beginning of this book. And what just made me think about this again, well, other than Mavra saying Starborn are for the Master, is that earlier, either in this book or in Peace Talks, when Harry said stars and stones, Ebenezer made the comment that, you know, you shouldn't use those words if you don't even really know what they mean. So clearly they are going to be something important as we go forward. And this Starborn thing is also clearly very important. And I find it really strange that it has never been mentioned before. And maybe it has. So like, maybe this is one of those tiny details that when I go back and reread the books, I will find little clues or little hints, or things will make more sense, put into context, etc. But for me, it feels like it has just come up in this book, which I don't love, but I do tend to forgive those kinds of things in Dresden. It was the same thing as when like Harry got his mom's way through the Never Never, all of those roots, like at the exact moment when he needed them. Like, how convenient that happened. But you know, it's Dresden, and I'm forgiving of these elements of Dresden because there's so many other things that I really like. I don't really care if there's those little bit like those clunky transitions sometimes, but I just find it odd that this seems to be such a huge plot thing that has not been mentioned before. So I would love to know if you are like long-time fans of the series who have read it multiple times. Like, is this something that as I go back and reread it, I'm gonna be like, oh, you tricky man, like how fun to go back and find all these clues? Or is it really something that he decided was going to be important now at, you know, book 16 or 17, which is fine. I'm not upset about it. I find it intriguing, but it's also, you know, we're in the teens now. I wish I would have heard of this already. All right, new hotel location, and I had to pause because Murphy just annihilated a giant with a bazooka. I feel like there's been a lot of crazy stuff happening. Harry like being absolutely feral with the winter mantle, which was like equal parts terrifying and super cool, but it's Murphy with a rocket launcher. How much better can you get? Okay, so when I said like that this book was emotional whiplash, I feel like this is beyond what is okay. It is not okay to make something that cool happen and then do that. Like, I have not ever been super invested in Harry and Murphy as a couple because I was really invested in them as best friends. But nobody can say that she was not one of his most important relationships, one of the people that he loves the most. And I am just like, I don't even know. Obviously, Harry's gonna fuck shit up now. Like, what is this going to do to him? What is this gonna do to me? I truly did not see this coming, especially not now. I don't even have anything else to say. What the fuck? I don't even know why I came back. Like, I cannot read about Harry fighting Butters. I can't do it. I'm scared to even read it now because who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe he'll kill Butters. Okay. I am at the end of chapter 28 and I have paused because frankly I'm afraid to keep reading. The last chapter is the chapter where Harry and Mab go into battle together, which was amazing, and Butters. Amazing. Like, that fight scene, so cool. And this last scene of this chapter where Mab defies the will of the Titan was just like top tier Dresden writing. Mab is so cool. Like, she's so evil, so just like dastardly and so amazing. I love her as a villain. And I am now scared to turn the page because Jim Butcher has taught me in this book that he is willing to hurt me. And I have learned that I might not be willing to be hurt anymore. So I'm just scared because if I turn this page and Mab is dead, and then Harry has to decide whether or not he's going to kill Molly or let her become the new Queen of Winter, that is not something that I'm mentally prepared for. However, I really want to read it. So I'm in a conundrum and I'm really afraid, but I am going to keep reading. Very, very brief pause. I'm still reading the battle and Harry just made like a random comment about hearing that the fairies were stealing kids again and that Molly came into battle with kids on her side. And I really hope, I don't know if this is true, but this is just like the hope of my heart coming to life. I really hope that Molly is taking in like all of the warlocks or all of the teenagers who have a gift present that the council doesn't have the time or the inclination to take care of, because that's what Harry did for her. And that would make me happy amongst all of this bleak sadness. On a list of sentences I thought I would never read, double dragon boss fight beside Hell Knight Marcone is definitely somewhere near the top. Wow. Would not have called it. Did not think that Marcone would want to be in service to anything, or that he would have fallen for any of the manipulations of a fallen angel. So I'm surprised. Not for the first time reading this book. Not for the last time, I'm sure. I would like to add a Michael Carpenter curse fest to that list of things that I was just talking about. Amazing. I am done. This book has been like the biggest emotional roller coaster of a read that I have ever had. I don't know. I would be laughing one minute, I would be sad the next minute, I would be angry, I would be confused, I would be fist pumping. Like, it's just so much. Overall, I come off on the side of liking Battleground, loving Battleground. I really, really like this book. I do not mind that it was a big battle because I think that Jim Butcher writes battles really well. And there were enough moments of discovery and enough moments of seeing characters and how they react to situations for it to not feel just like a constant nonstop battle sequence. But the emotion behind all of this is just so much. Like, this is a lot to process. I feel like this is not going to be an incredibly well-informed conclusion to this vlog because I still have so many things that I'm thinking. I will say I'm looking forward to seeing what Harry does in terms of being a wizard and what he's going to gather around him and how he is going to practice magic knowing that the White Council does not want him practicing magic. I'm going to find it very frustrating because I presume that Rudolph, worst character of all characters, most hated man in my literary life has survived, and that Harry's assault of him is going to become a major plot point, kind of in the way that the Sword of Damocles was when we had Morgan way back at the beginning of the series. And that is going to infuriate me. I think that when Nemesis said, people are going to do this for us, that is going to be true. That is going to be true, and that human beings are going to cause a lot of trouble for Harry Dresden, and Rudolph being the slimiest of all those human beings, that is going to be part of that. And I know that's going to infuriate me. Hopefully it won't make me so mad that I don't enjoy future books, but like having to sit through that, knowing what Harry has done, is going to make me so mad. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as we progress. I hope that something gets solved with Thomas in the next book, because I would really like to see Thomas and know that they can do something to help him. I don't know what to think about this whole marriage alliance. Poor Molly. Like, bad enough that Mab is forcing Harry to marry Lara, but to make Molly plan it. Like, she obviously knows how Molly feels about Harry. Like, I don't know. I love Mab more than ever after this book, but she's still like stone cold, you know what, at the end of the day. And it's going to be stressful. I am not, number one, groomed very well. My hair has been like flying away this whole vlog, so apologies for that. But I am not prepared for waiting. Who knows when? Apparently there's a novella coming out this summer. I'm excited about that. But like, when's the next book? Who knows? Time to join the wait train. And I'm not going to lie, the Starborn stuff, everything that has happened makes me really want to go back and reread all these books, which I'm not going to do, at least for a little while. But I guess to formally conclude this vlog, I really loved Battleground. I love the Dresden Files. It is one of my favorite series of all time. I made such a good decision reading it. I hope everybody enjoyed watching these vlogs as I have made my way through the latter half of the series, and expect much Dresden content to come. Thanks for watching. Bye.